Hello and welcome to the Gooners. We're back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our TGT podcast series, where I'm joined every week after our league match to discuss the game, the fallout, the Arsenal news, everything regarding the game and everything else. Could go with it. That was horrific. That's probably the worst intro I've ever done. That was so bad. I will work on that, I promise. I'm joined by guests that pretty much sum up that intro. I'm only joking. I'll introduce you to them in just a second. I have done pods before, I promise you. I genuinely have. Like you can see the look on Adam's face how bad that intro was. That was terrible. This is like, I think I did the other day. I checked this, and this is something like the 400th show or something like that. It's close to that, and I still can't do an intro. Anyway, Drew, you're about as good at showing your face as I am at intro. Are you all right? Are you well?
I think I'm better at showing my face than your intros, except today. So, how you guys doing?
I need to get people in the chat box to script an intro for me. Are you well though? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Apologize for the plane flying over my house in a minute. But yeah, I'm good.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No problem at all. Adam, thank you so much for tuning in again. It's back-to-back shows, mate. This is good form.
I mean, I'm just trying to do what I can, you know. I'm just about something great. That's all.
I mean, you book onto them, so it's you that's doing it. I don't know why. I have a weird feeling you're actually on the next one as well. I don't know if that's awesome. Right.
I mean, I'm happy to make a hat trick. Yeah, if I'm welcome.
Hold on, let me just see. So we've got today is obviously you guys, and then Wolves away. Oh, okay. No, it's not. You're booked onto one like Man City. You always book onto the big ones. You like the Manchester clubs. That's what it must be.
True. I did do Southampton though. Don't forget.
You did. You did a morning show with Owen. That was very thankful of you to do it. And finally, finishing off our trio is John. How you doing, mate? Are you well?
Oh yeah, great. Thanks for having me on again.
No,
and look, just this goes to show you, I don't go on the show only when we win, also when we draw.
True. Yes, and I mean you booked them in advance again, so I mean you have no control really.
You know what? I'm just going to start booking them because we seem to do well every time I'm scheduled to be on the show. So
yeah, please book everyone, especially because it means we wouldn't have to have Drew on. Like that. That's also.
I don't understand at this point.
Let's go to you, Drew. Give me your. I mean,
no, absolutely not. Not after the shoot. Not the way I've been treated just now. Not doing anything.
Screw you. This game was kind of a weird one to come out of because the mood's been quite good. The win against Southampton was big, and we're on a high again. And obviously, we didn't win the game, which for a lot of people is like, if it's win or nothing. It's a win or ridiculous hyperbolic reaction on Twitter. There is just one of two things. Stay silent if we win, and then anything other than that, it's just meltdown. Where's your head at in regards to that point? Was it a good one, or should we have got more?
I think both clubs can make the argument that they should have gotten more. So just off that basis, I think both should be pleased with a point. You know, you can talk about the chances that we garnered throughout the match, but if you look at the data, United's XG was a full goal better than ours. Cavani missed 2 open goal chances, literally. There's no reason that he shouldn't have put those away. So I think, you know, both teams had the better end of play on the other or at certain points of the match. So I genuinely feel like it was a very, very even match. I feel like a point's pretty all right. And if you're asking anybody, you know, a week ago, if we're playing, it doesn't matter if it's United or not. It's the team that's second on the table, and we're without Oba, Tierney, and Saka. You know, Saka's our best player on form this season. You could argue Oba is still capable of scoring goals. You know, Tierney is arguably he is one of the best left backs in the league. So if you're without 3 of your key players, and you get a point against a team second on the table, no matter who it is, would you take that? Anybody would probably say yes. I think you can be encouraged by the fact that we did garner a lot of chances that were pretty key without those players. That for me is big. I think there are maybe 1 or 2 things that you could say that, you know, areas we struggled in. I wouldn't say that I know John wants to talk more about this, so I'm not going to mention a lot about it, but there's a few things you could say that maybe we can improve on, but that's all part of it. Like, we're not a perfect entity in terms of what we can produce on the pitch, right? So, but I think on balance, a point is fair. Again, we could have won 2-0. United could have won 2-0. It could have been 2-2. Like there's a whole lot of different ways it could have ended, but I'm happy with the point. I think that it's for me it's about the next three now. Like we have to beat Wolves, we have to beat Leeds, we need to get in a good performance against Villa. If we win those three, you're looking at a whole different kind of picture now. So I just want to go from strength to strength at this point. I'm not sad about it. I'm happy about the point. I'll take it. I think anyone who's frustrated by it, I feel like they want too much too soon, and they're looking at our form as opposed to maybe other factors. But yeah, I'm happy with it.
Is that a fair assessment, Adam? Do you think there are people maybe wanting too much too soon, or did you feel like Arsenal could have got more from that game?
I think any reasonable Arsenal fan would say that they take a point, and they'd probably admit that on the balance of play, Manchester United having two chances that they probably should have scored from as well. A point is something that we should be happy with. Also considering the fact that our form prior to maybe Christmas wasn't brilliant. To beat Manchester United, who have been on good form, to draw against Manchester United is something that we shouldn't really sniff at. It's actually quite a good thing. So yeah, ultimately I'm happy. I'll take it. I think as Drew mentioned, our upcoming games are also quite difficult. So I think this point might look different given the context of what happens in those games. So if we go on to have 3 losses, I think people might say, "Oh, this was the start of our bad run." If we then go on to win the games, they'll say this is what kick-started us and built the platform for us to then go on and do better. So yeah, I think what happens next will determine how maybe the less reasonable Arsenal fans will say whether this was good or bad. But I think it was good.
I agree. I'm in the camp of certainly looking back at the result and saying, considering you brought it up, the chances United had, Cavani specifically missed 2 absolutes, not 2 sitters. Certainly one was a sitter. I don't know how he managed to hook it wide, but he did, and we're very fortunate for it. But we obviously had chances too. Lacazette hitting the bar. Pepe had a couple of really nice finessed efforts just go past the post, which could have been very different had they gone in. And yeah, it was a really open game, end to end. It was an entertaining 0-0. It wasn't a bore draw, that's for sure. Didn't mean that to rhyme, but it did, and that's fantastic. But I was very pleased with things coming out of it. John, are you on the same sort of mindset as the guys, or are you again a little bit hard done by about maybe only just a point?
No. I think the point was absolutely warranted, and I think I was really happy with that result. And I know really the biggest testament to it is the fact that right after the game, I was messaging my United friend and telling him how we should have won that game, and that if we had 3 of our best players that were out, we would have absolutely won that game. And I have no doubt that we would have won that game if Tierney, Oba, and Saka were able to play. So that's a huge positive to me. That being said, there was definitely some stuff that we could work on and improve upon. And I know that it's kind of weird because if you mention any kind of negatives, you immediately sound like you're trying to look at the bad side. I'm not. Overwhelmingly, it was absolutely positive. I think that a point, given the situation and the way that we were playing, where they are on the table and the form they've been in, and what we needed to do, if we had lost that game, it would have been really bad, in my opinion. It would have been really bad. We needed to at least draw and ideally win, given the momentum that we had. What this allowed us to do was say, not only did we put in a strong performance at home, more so in the second half, and that's one of the negatives. I don't know if we can get into that. I'll get into that. There were some negatives to the game. I thought Partey's performance was a negative. I don't think it's a negative in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's
Partey context.
In the Partey context, and his, obviously he had a trial of fire with United already, and he did really well at Old Trafford when we actually beat them there. But in this recent run of form where we have the solidified team that we know exactly who's going to be playing, and this is kind of the blueprint going forward for Arteta, it seems, this was the biggest test that he's had in the entire team, not just Partey, that the entire team has had in this recent run of good form. And I thought that he was lacking today. And I don't think that's something to be worried about. I think that, he's a human being, and it was a very difficult fixture, and, maybe it just doesn't go your way. I thought his passing wasn't off. He looked like his compass was off a little bit, but that was one thing. I'm still concerned about Bellerin and Pepe on that right-hand side. And I think that Pepe got some good chances at goal, and there was some good play going on. But they tend to operate the same space, this little half space in front of on the right side of the box. They end up, and if you notice, they got cluttered there every once in a while, and it was like almost as if, oh no, you pass here, no, I'll go here, I'll do the overlap, no, you do the overlap, and it was easy to contain us in that area. And then we had to get back to Bellerin, who would just pass it back to Holding, who was amazing, by the way. Anyway, that was another slight negative. I don't want to keep going on the negatives and make it seem like I'm being negative. But one thing, the last thing I'll say is one thing that I want us to stop doing, and that is when we're at home to give the other team as much possession as they want. And we did that to United. It ended up being okay. I'll tell you what, like, they had their chances. Leno had to make probably one of the saves of the season against was it Fred? Fred's like kind of almost this like lift up. I think he was just trying to kind of get it over the line to see if a striker could get on the end, but it just had enough lift that it was heading into the goal, and Leno had to make this reaction save off his fingertips. But those kind of chances are created when we let United have the ball, and I wish we would just kind of be the dominant team right off the bat and not, you know what I'm saying? Like City does it all the time. They'll just control the game and shut teams down. I wish we would do that more. It's kind of a negative, but I think that we have the quality to be able to control a game from the whistle, and I wish we would do it more. That's all.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I think we had a lot of possession. I think we had more possession, I think, maybe than the assessment may make some of the listeners think that we did. I understand what you're saying, because if you're at home and you want to have the impetus in the game and you want to take the game to the opposition, I mean, that's how we beat Chelsea. We beat Chelsea by being the dominant force in that game. And I understand. I look at the United team that we played, and I think a lot of people look at United as kind of a bit of a comedy side in the league right now, as a sleeping giant in a way that are good to laugh at. And if you don't beat Manchester United in their current form, it's suddenly this massive sin. And actually, as you said, and I'm glad that you pointed out, if you look at where they are in the table, where they have been, especially away from home, they've an excellent record away from home. They beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, of course, and played many of the similar players in that game as they did against us, and made a huge amount of changes from the loss against Sheffield United earlier in the week. It is a good result in my view. I think it is a foundation to push forward. It's another game against a big six side in which we've competed in. We've not been overrun. I remember games against Man United, even at the Emirates over the last decade, where we just looked completely second best, and it was just basically a matter of time until we would concede and lose. So it is progress being made once again in these fixtures. Let's talk about some of the individuals. Drew, in the chat box, I see a lot of people talking about specifically a man called Nicolas Pepe, who, for me, I mean, I have kind of always looked at him as someone that needs to obviously focus on what he does in the final third, how he's beating players, getting him into positions where he can be clinical. But it's not only that, it's what Kyle says here. His defending was brilliant. Like, he was working back, he tracked back, he had the commitment. The best way I feel that he can be described is a player that knows his place is under threat and knows that he has an opportunity, with Saka being out, with Aubameyang being out. He has an opportunity to show Arteta that he needs to be starting week in, week out, and I feel like he was committed to that.
I agree with some of that. I don't know if it's necessarily about him feeling his place is under threat as much as it could simply also just be the fact that he's just been more confident. When you're confident, even if you're not in a good vein of form, if you're confident, you're doing the little things a lot more reliably. You're more efficient and you're more effective in that. And sometimes when you're confident, your head doesn't drop and a move doesn't come off. You will track back. You'll try to get back in shape. You'll try to work to get the ball back. Confidence comes into play with a lot of that. It's not just about what you do with the ball, it's what you do without it. I think you're kind of seeing that more now. His decision making is maybe a little bit better as well. It's not perfect, but it's certainly, I think, better than where it was maybe, say, for sure last year and maybe at the earlier stages of this season. So I think, and we were talking about this on Jess's podcast earlier about what do you do when everybody is fit? Do you keep him in the 11 and try to work him into better form, or do you drop him when everyone's fit and available? It's a tough question, because over the next couple of outings, we don't know what's going to go on with Lacazette's injury. We don't Oba has to quarantine. He's going to be missing the next match or two. So Pepe is going to get more chances. So what happens if he finds good form in those chances? How do you thank him for that? Do you bench him when people like Oba and Saka and Laka are back in good order? Or do you run with it because he found form, if he finds form? So it's difficult, but I'm glad that he put it in a better performance again. And the overarching comment from me would be that now we can actually talk about the fact that if we have multiple players in decent form and we have options to consider, that's a positive for me. And normally you can't really say we've had that over the last couple of years. It's more been about we have to force ourselves to play the same players constant because no one else on the bench could really come in and you think they could do a decent enough job. And now if you have someone like a Pepe that you can either rotate in or you can start knowing that you can rest somebody because he can put out a good performance, we have that now potentially. We don't know yet. So but yeah, I'm happy with how he performed. I just want to see it like take it one match at a time now. You can't like extrapolate and start thinking about where he's going to be in 3 months' time. How is he going to perform in the next outing? That's the only question. And then you take it from there. If he performs there, then you take it to the next one. Can't be about where we're at in May with him. You know, you have to handle it the right way, like one step at a time in the way. So yeah, just take it one match at a time now. I'm happy he performs better than he has in previous outings. So yeah, that's it. We go from there.
Yeah, obviously it's a lot about context. I don't agree in the sense of what you were saying about the competition. I do think that there is an element of that's pushing him and makes him want to commit. I've not seen that defensive work rate from him at all. Like we used to talk about Pepe as kind of a Ozil-esque in the way that he would nonchalantly walk around the pitch at times, even when we were winning, losing, whatever. That's the difference I saw. And I saw a guy that was fully committed to working back, tracking back and working. Everything else you said, I think is spot on. It's just that, I mean, you feel free to come back at me. Like I just felt that it's that element of his game that was different because of the competition for places and the opportunity.
Do you want me to respond to that?
I didn't want to just jump in and say I disagree and not let you.
Oh no, man. I mean, well, that'd be your usual, which is fine. I'm just kidding.
Such a dick.
No, but I mean, I could. It's not that I'm completely discounting the fact that competition pushes you, but again, I feel like I can't look at a moment starting from last season where you could say that Pepe was truly confident, even when he was amongst the goals, right? Because I think it's kind of clear that he wasn't really given the platform first under Emery and then maybe with Ljungberg and maybe in the early days with Arteta that he was truly comfortable in. And because of that, he didn't have the confidence. So for me, I feel like that's kind of the big thing for me. But I don't know about like where he's at now. I think it could be a bit of both. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do think that confidence plays a key part in every facet of an athlete's game, from the basics to to the more advanced things you need to be doing. You know, if you can sit there and know that you have the ability to get things done on both sides of the ball, then yeah, it's a bit easier. So yeah.
Let's focus on some other players on the pitch. Adam, interesting. I mean, I can't give this guy any more praise right now. Our goalkeeper, Bernd Leno, he's the thumbnail picture because I feel like he's gone under the radar in kind of this run of form. We've talked about how good Arsenal have been defensively and how many clean sheets have been keeping. And those clean sheets don't happen, obviously, with that defence in front of him. But there are still chances that get through. There are still opportunities that opposition teams have. And he is answering those calls every single time. I loved a couple of people tweeting about the Martinez save against Liverpool last season where it was deflected Trent Alexander-Arnold's shot. And that tweet at the start of the season saying Leno could never pull off this save. And there was just the almost mirror image of the save that Fred shot led to that. And it's not, the greatest thing about Leno is obviously when the comparisons between Martinez become silenced and we don't have to talk about that. And I don't want that to be the focus of this discussion. But for you, like when you look at Leno, and there was some interesting debates going on as well about David De Gea in the opposite end. And I saw a couple of people talking about like combined 11s, which I hate talking about combined 11s in general. But the debate between De Gea and Leno is up there now as easily one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. And he's in that top tier for me. And I feel free to disagree if you like, but that's just how I see him.
Tom, I'm not going to disagree with you, bro. I'm not going to do it. I think it was maybe 2018. And the shout I made was way too premature. I said that Leno was top 2 in the league, and I said it after I'd been good and tempted by some rival fans, and I said it out of jest. But from that moment on, Leno has just grown in stature. He's grown in his performances. He's grown in importance and
I
maturity.
feel he must be the best now, like surely.
Totally vindicated because I could always see it in this guy. He's always been an excellent shot stopper. And I think the comparisons between him and Leno were, I think people were saying that Leno had more aerial prowess and he was able to come and claim crosses and he was more authoritative in the box. I don't mind Leno not having that because he is still just as important as Martinez was. And I think he can be a leader between the sticks for years to come. Honestly, I can't give more praise to this guy. And I've seen it from a very, very, from early on in his career at Arsenal. And I don't really know what more people expect from him. So the comparisons between Martinez, I can understand them because we had two excellent goalkeepers. One seemed to have a bit more than the other. But now that Martinez has gone, I think we've seen Leno go from strength to strength and long may it continue.
Yeah, no, and I think he has just completely answered all of the questions that people wanted to put out there. And I still see people out there put out the rhetoric saying we should have kept Martinez. And to be fair, I was in the camp that wanted to keep him because he's got the Arsenal connection. He's been here for a long time, and it was more romantic to see Martinez succeed. And I always use that word to describe Martinez in the connection they had with Arsenal. And of course, Leno may have been able to get us more money. The problem is no one was going to pay what we would have asked for Leno at the time during the summer. And we were given a very good offer for a goalkeeper that was worth easily, a tenth of that a couple of seasons ago. So maybe not that much, but it's just, for me, he is proving time and time again. It was important that we got the backup because Matt Ryan needed to come in because our number 2, Runnison, is, I think arguably the signing of Runnison showed us how good Leno is rather than how good Runnison is. But no, I completely am in agreement with you, and he's certainly moving towards, if he hasn't already, the top tier of keepers in the Premier League. And his distribution is probably the biggest part of his game that we need to start working on, for sure. But that I feel is improving. He's working well under pressure when he has to play it out. John, there's a couple of performances on the pitch that we didn't have, with Saka not being available, with Tierney not being available.
Yep.
Pretty much decimated our left-hand side, not having Tierney, and without Aubameyang there as well. And Martinelli started. Martinelli, I thought, worked back really quickly and got back and made some really good defensive clearances, especially the one that was going to fall to Rashford, and he jumped in and headed it out for a corner. That was excellent. He got a couple of tackles in as well. Mm-hmm. But on that left-hand side, I felt, no matter how good we can praise Cedric for the performance against Southampton, I thought Cedric was good, but I would much rather see him on the right over Bellerin, with Tierney back on that left. I mean, talk me through how kind of weakened you thought we were without those key players.
Well, Tierney, I think it's been mentioned, he's arguably one of the, if not the best left back. He's tied, I think, with the best left back in the league right now. Yeah. I personally like him better.
Disagree with you.
Just because he wears. Oh, Adam, you disagree? That's fine. Okay.
I just want to know who one is. That's all I want to know.
What?
Robertson, I assume would be.
I would say that there's an argument that Robertson's up there, but.
Oh wow. Is it crazy that I wasn't even thinking of Robertson? But fair enough.
Who are you thinking of?
Who are you thinking of? Ben Chilwell.
Oh, Ben Chilwell. You've got to be crazy. I was thinking of maybe Reguilon or Luca.
Hold on. Sorry. What?
Over Tierney?
I don't know why you're wearing that colour shirt this evening, Adam.
What?
That's clearly
no. Okay, look. All right, let me finish my answer. All right, so Tierney is arguably top 2, if not I would argue the best.
Behind Reguilon.
And Ben Chilwell. So
and
look,
Ben Davies, is that? Yeah. I mean, Ben, do you want to give a shout for Ben Davies? Do you want to convince me?
Yeah, he's no Kieran Gibbs, but no. So look, here's the thing. There's something that he offers on that left-hand side that's absolutely pivotal. It not only the work rate and the defensive aspect of his game, which I think the latter is very underrated that he has. The work rate with the defensive contributions he does really helps solidify that back. It was one of the reasons why our defense has been able to stabilize over the last couple of weeks or months even, is because of that amazing kind of sense that he has to be able to track back and really just nonstop putting a shift in games. And then not only that, when he goes forward, you would think like it's like 80, 90 minutes, he's going to be tired. No, Tierney is still making runs behind. He's still beating players. He's still putting in these crosses. And Cedric against Southampton, it was good. He's a right-footed player on that left side, which is a little awkward, and it's a different kind of swing on the ball, and it's a less of a natural position for him. And I don't think that it really suits our playing style. I think that most of the time we're going to want when the people are coming into the box, they're going to be coming in towards the goal, rather than kind of looping around, which would be better for a player who's going to push the ball out that way. And I think that when you actually see the way that we play, it's a lot more fluid when you have someone like Tierney on the side. And it's not like a groundbreaking statement. It's obvious that we play better with him, with one of the best players in the league right now. But I think that there's not much you can do if the guy's injured, right? So I guess, is that really answering your question? You asked, like, how does our side change with Tierney on the left there? Unless I misunderstood what your question was.
No. I think you've covered it. And I think that obviously you look at the Wolves game and you think, what can Arsenal do to improve the left-hand side? And the obvious answer is Tierney to come back in. Say if he doesn't, I suppose the question would be is would you tweak anything to get more out of what was available in any way?
Okay, I see. No, actually, I think that the way that Arteta handled the players that we had were the optimal way to do it, unfortunately. And guess what? Look, to not have three of your best players and still be able to put in a performance like that, albeit at home, against a team that was as great form as United was, who are, quote, a title contender, and doing it away at Southampton, well, forget Southampton now, against United. It's a testament to how we understand what we're supposed to be doing from a tactical perspective. And that I think is been understated a lot, rather than looking specifically at, let's see, what would happen if we didn't have Tierney, or if we did have Tierney, how did Arteta set up? I think that the entire team right now knows what the game plan is more. And when the entire team knows what the game plan is more, then even if you have your lineup that's not completely optimal, everyone still knows what the game plan is, right? Everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. Everyone knows where everyone else is supposed to be. That was always something that was going to take time with Arteta. And we were like, all right, well, look, he's been tinkering a lot and has been working out. But I think, and I hope I'm not speaking too early about this, but I think we're at a point now where everyone has a good sense of what Arteta wants and how he wants to play football. And because of that, I think you're going to see less variance when we need to switch out players. When the Tierney is injured, or when Lacazette is injured, or when Aubameyang can't play, or when Bellerin can't play and someone switches, because everyone has a more unified sense of what's going on, I think it lessens the impact of losing particular players.
I think that we need desperately to try and work out.
Spurs just lost.
Yes, I know. I was going to bring that.
0 points from 6. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Oh, they have 2 games in hand.
Please, I want Jose Mourinho.
2 games in hand.
Please bring me Mourinho. I want him so much. He'd improve us. He'd make us title challengers. Oh, great stuff. Fantastic. Beautiful. I love that the Arsenal, I mean, they claim to be Arsenal fans, and they're clearly Spurs fans, are going to be very, very disappointed this evening, which is great to see. Adam, I'm sorry, mate. You might want to put a red shirt on now.
It's not a problem.
Who plays left back for Spurs? How about that?
Yeah, was Reguilon playing? I mean, Adam might be in the mud here. No, he wasn't. Ben Davies was playing. Oh,
John,
the second best left back in the league, Ben Davies.
This is going to stick. Just by the way, Adam, this is sticking.
No. What it does, I just want to say, I think Kieran Tierney is better than both of those. I was just wondering who the other left back was. I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So that's obviously we spend most of the pod talking about the game, but the second half we kind of look ahead and we look at some of the kind of current topics around Arsenal at the moment. I wanted to talk to you guys about William Saliba. I don't know if you've all seen the comments today. Have you all seen the quotes? Have you read them? Adam, I'll come to you last, so you've got a chance to have a look. Just have a look at the comments, and then I'll get your thoughts on them. Drew, have you seen them? Have you seen them?
Yes, I have.
Did I interrupt you, John? I've just looked at my phone, and Drew's text me saying I interrupted you mid.
Why are you texting him, Drew? Why are you texting him?
This is shady, Drew.
And then
It's a private chat.
Yeah, I was making myself some lunch, Tom. I was making myself some lunch. We were just
absolutely making lunch.
Oh, dearie me. Let's talk. God, we had to focus now. I put a video out earlier. Shut up, John. I can't.
Oh god,
he's so confused, and we're not going to tell him. But we are in a situation with Saliba now that stop smiling. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at the screen. I'm looking down. With Saliba, there we go. That's perfect. With Saliba, we are in a situation where we've got a player that's gone on loan that is in a situation where he's been very frustrated with his time at Arsenal. He's come to the club. We've spent a lot of money on him, and he obviously wants to play. Now, there are clearly some things that have gone on behind the scenes that you can find information about. I've put information out there. There is some stuff that can't be talked about, that you can probably find hints of in places. But I put a video out earlier on basically reacting to Saliba's quotes. And to paraphrase what I said was very much on the lines of, I feel of a player that has had a tricky time, that has already spoken once in an interview in this same month, as soon as he joined, basically saying that he was frustrated. He was told he publicly went out and said that Arteta had told him that he wasn't ready yet, and it was frustrating. He has now conducted another interview weeks later, again said that he's frustrated. He talked about a lack of minutes and all of this. I said that in my view, if he is in this situation, he should go on loan, get his head down, play for 6 months. If the media has to speak to him, because sometimes players have media responsibilities, they have to do interviews. If you're asked about your time at Arsenal, just turn around to the interview and say, look, whatever's happened at Arsenal's happened. I'm here at Nice. I'm going to crack on and we'll see what happens in 6 months' time. That's absolutely fine. Now, I want to read out some of the comments from the video because I think it's important to look at the other side, to look at the perspective of some people who disagree with my point, because I know that a lot of the people who watch the show, especially a lot of you guys in the chat box, you watch the show because most of you all agree with the rhetoric of the show. Otherwise, and fair play if you don't, and you keep listening. I respect that a lot. Some of the other points of view that have come in. It's Andrew commented saying, this is a whole lot of nothing. I think the young man should be honest and speak his mind. If he feels like he's been wronged, get it out in the open. Everything that's gone wrong is the fault of the Arsenal hierarchy. The suits at Arsenal are incompetent at the moment. Let me find another one. Scrolling up here, Pedro says, to be honest, it does sound like he's not bothered about coming back. And let's be honest, he'd have to be bloody brilliant to play instead of Rob Holding at the moment. Nasri in chat, says, I think you're blowing things way out of proportion. I don't think he outspoke and did anything to jeopardize his Arsenal career. In my opinion, I think he was shocked, as we were too, by the fact that he wasn't even registered in the Europa League squad. We were too busy to sort his thing out, and he answered some of the questions that we've all been asking ourselves. And there were some other people who mentioned that it was basically Arteta's fault, and there was a point about it was Arteta's ego. Here we go. From Rui says, sorry, Tom, but I disagree with you. Arteta's treatment of Saliba has been horrific. Arteta's ego sometimes is the problem here, as he is hypocritical about his non-negotiables, as certain players he shows favouritism towards, which people would argue about. Willian going to Dubai and then being played again. Xhaka throwing his teammates under the bus by getting a red card stupidly and then coming straight back into the team once the suspension's over. Drew, I'm coming to you first because I know you're going to love to talk about this. What's your views on the Saliba situation? What did you make of the interview? What do you feel like about Saliba?
I'm glad I didn't get this one.
You're getting it in a bit. Don't worry.
Well, he was getting it before the time.
I did that joke instead. I didn't say that joke on purpose. For goodness sake.
Touche.
Go on.
We should all tip our hats.
That was on point.
You're going to be late for the podcast. It might as well be for that.
No, for me, I kind of just feel like I'm kind of with you, Tom. Is from, and we were talking about it pre-record or pre-live. Is that if you're in any vein of employment in life, if you're very openly vocal about things that go on at your job that you don't like, usually you get fired, or at the very least, usually HR pulls you in and says that you have to kind of rein it in because it's not acceptable to do. Like, I'm I'm not faulting him for having his own frustrations. That's allowed. There's nothing wrong with that. Players get frustrated at clubs all the time, but how you handle that frustration and sort of, even though you're on loan, you're still representative of your parent club. His parent club's Arsenal. He has to do his due diligence in terms of that. Like, it's better just to keep it all in house and just figure it out from there. And this is kind of what I said before, is that I think one of the biggest things that people will always forget about Arsene Wenger is that he was a master at keeping things internally. There was I can't even imagine the kind of nonsense he had to deal with that we just don't know about, and we still don't know about. I'm sure there was quite a bit of it. So for me, I just feel like Saliba is a bit in the wrong. He's not but you're also a communist, Tom, clearly. For trying to censor how dare you guys enter. No, it's not about censorship. It's about when you're trying to rebuild the whole club in every facet. You want to have the right image both internally and externally, but also, again, you have to represent the club correctly, keep your in-house business in-house, but players also have to, comport themselves in a respectful and professional way. And if the minute you leave the club and if you're just railing against it just because you're no longer there at the minute, when you don't have any repercussions at that point in time, like, that doesn't really speak to his character as a player quite well. So, I mean, I've always said that if he doesn't get on board with Arteta, he's not going to be at Arsenal very long. And it's not because it's not a player with potential. It's because if you don't have players that want to just that buy into being a certain way, like same thing with Guendouzi, it's very, very similar. Like, I think we're just going to sell him in the summer. I would not be shocked if Saliba doesn't actually make very many appearances for the Arsenal first team. It's not because it's not good enough long term. It's because there's just so much angst, like, behind the scenes, that no manager wants to deal with players that constantly moan about everything when things don't go their way, especially when you're a young player who still has a lot to prove at the club you haven't even played for yet. So, yeah, for me, like, I'm not fussed either way. I just kind of feel like he has to be a bit more professional than he has been. So for me, I guess I would side with the club in this iteration. I'd side with Arteta, and that doesn't mean he can't mature from now until the summer. He could show a bit more maturity. He could come back in the summer, and he could make amends for the things that he said, and he could come back to the fold and leave the door open for that. The same way the door, I assume, has been open for Guendouzi, depending on how he comes back. But if he doesn't come back in that same vein, then you kind of have to move on. And this is why you don't get attached to young players. You never know how it's going to work out. So,
okay. Yeah. Adam, what are your thoughts? Have you had a chance to read them?
Yeah, no, I've had a chance. And I think I can look at this question or look at this problem as an Arsenal fan and then try to empathize as if I were Saliba. And if I were William Saliba, I would have spoken out in frustration as well. I would be very upset. I've just got a big move to a massive club, a club with a lot of heritage, that's popular on social media. And given the defensive woes that Arsenal have had, I would think I can come in and make an immediate impact, especially as I've just seen my teammate, my former teammate, go to another club in England and also make an impact. So, yeah, I can look at it that way and feel his frustration. But as an Arsenal fan, it just looks like we haven't got our house in order. It looks as though we couldn't say to him or appease him enough to make him feel as though there's a place for him when he comes back from Nice, to the point where he didn't need to speak out, because it really makes Arteta look bad. It makes the club look bad. And it to me, it just signifies that all of the transfer dealings or lack thereof, our inability to get out Socrates and all the other defenders that we have, it just makes that look much, much worse, because we have a talented defender that we weren't able to include in our squad. But then I know that there are some Arsenal fans that will use this as a stick to beat Arteta with, because they'll say that it proves that he has his favourites. They'll say that it's a clear sign that he doesn't know what he's doing. And as we speak, I'm receiving messages from Arsenal fans that are telling me that are we going to do the same thing to Saliba, what Tony Pulis did to Serge Gnabry, which is get rid of him because he's not the type of player that he likes. So there's multiple ways to look at this, and I can see it all. from the different perspectives. I'm intrigued to see how it will unfold. But I think from everything we've heard from players about how good Arteta's man management is, this will be the real test, because he's put himself and Saliba in a very uncomfortable position. And I really want to see what's going to happen from here. And right now, if I was Saliba, I may well push for a move to get away, because I'm not happy. But we wait and see. Watch this space.
You said there, obviously, because I want to just press you on a point. You said that if you had moved to a club, or if you had moved somewhere, that you would be frustrated and you would speak out. So him doing these interviews, in your view, because it's different to mine, so I want to get kind of behind the glass of what you feel. Do you think it's fine for him to speak out then? Is that, like, as an employee, like being paid by the club, we know what Arteta's like about this type of thing. Is it, whilst you have understanding for him being frustrated and why he did speak out, was it the right thing to do in your view?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Purely because I know that me at a 19-year-old, if I was I would be that annoyed, and I would speak out, and I would feel as though I could express myself in a way that would get or convey my frustrations without burning bridges. And I would imagine that's what William Saliba is trying to do. He probably said, I'm going to say what I want to say to let you know that there's been a problem, and let the world know that there was a problem. But I'm hoping in doing this, you don't think I've burnt my bridge and severed our ties forever. I just want you to know that I'm really upset.
Okay. Well, you've explained that a lot better.
Can I jump in real fast?
Go on, Drew. Go on.
No.
Poke the beast, Adam. What have you done?
I take Adam's point, but at the same time, when you air out your dirty laundry on that, it's almost like you're forcing the club to hope. You're almost forcing the club in the sense that you hope they're going to react how you want them to react in the scenario, and not how the club is going to react. And that's a sign of me about a player who's being just a little bit spoiled and a little bit centric.
Yeah.
And that to me is the flip side. And again, that's why I prefaced it before, is like, I understand his frustration. I think his frustration on a lot of angles is warranted. And I do think that you could say with a fair degree of certainty that it's clear that the previous regime that brought him in made guarantees that he was not getting serviced when the current regime came into power, and they're butting heads. Sometimes that just happens. And the club could have made better decisions in terms of how do we find the balance between the two. Like if Arteta genuinely feels like he's not ready for first team commitments, that's fine. But we should have made better decisions on loaning him out faster, or making sure he could have gotten cup minutes, Europa League minutes, those kind of things you could say the club can take responsibility for. But at the same time, when things don't go your way, the first thing you don't just go public and just start throwing your toys out of every possible, place. Like that. I didn't want to take it there, but yeah, it's exactly right.
Oh, there you didn't want to take it. That was too far for you. Got it.
Oh, that's the line.
Listen, we can go all day. Don't get me started, John.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say anything.
I'm just messing with you. But no, I get it. Like, so for me, I feel like that's the mistake.
Okay.
Like I feel like he could air it to the manager, he can air it to the club brass, but airing it to the press, and now the press can have a field day with it. They can do whatever they want. So now it's kind of like a PR nightmare for a while when it didn't have to be, and now it is. And that could have been avoided just by him doing, as you say, just kind of nip it in the bud, say, whatever's done is done. I'm at Nice for now. We'll see what happens come the summer. I'm just getting my head down. I'm going to work hard. That's it. It could have been that simple. But,
Drew, can you answer a question in 20 seconds? Like, Fubar Gunner says, Tom, could you explain why Fofana and why it could have played a part in the situation?
I don't understand. Could you discuss Fofana? What do you mean? Like what?
I think the point of view where people say, well, Fofana's playing for Leicester, so why isn't Saliba playing for Arsenal?
Because Fofana wasn't first choice there. He played because of injuries. If those injuries didn't happen, he likely wouldn't have been starting as early as he would have been. It doesn't mean that he wouldn't have come on, at certain points of the season and earned his spot, but they didn't bring him in with the view of him starting first choice on match day 1. So, and to his credit, he took his chance as well. Leicester don't have a very deep. We had 26 center backs 2 months ago or whatever. You know what I mean? Like Leicester have.
Underestimating.
Like Leicester have 5, so he was bound to get his chance if injuries cropped up, and they did. It's different for us. And
they have 4, including him.
yeah, and how Rodgers
Rodgers
assesses their team is not how Arteta assesses ours. It's 2 managers, it's 2 clubs, it's 2 different sets of players. There's no blanket assumption you can make. Yes, they performed in the same Saint Etienne team, but the circumstances are different. So we can't just sit here and compare all the time. What goes on in Leicester is not Arsenal. Like, don't even concern yourself with that. That's just my take about that. So.
Yeah. John, you said you didn't want to talk about it. I'm going to make you talk about it. What are your thoughts on the Saliba sitch?
Look, here's the thing. There's no reason for me to look at Arteta and what he's done and think that it had anything else but what am I trying to say here? It had anything else to do with anything. Man, that I'm struggling here.
Oh, something happened.
Let's start again. Hi.
Is your head a little bit?
Me on, Tom. So what I was trying to say was that I don't think it has anything to do with anything but football related issue. I think that there might have been some political stuff, but I don't want to speculate on that because I don't really know, right? And what we've heard is, look, the guy might not be ready. He's a young player. If you hear hoofbeats, you think of horses, not zebras, right? You think of the most reasonable explanation. Yeah. So,
John, you have to understand, they might not have heard of that term before.
Okay, so there's this. When you're evaluating like a psych patient and you ask them, what do you hear when you think of hoofbeat? When you hear hoofbeats, what animal do you think of? If hoofbeats, like a hoof, like you think of horse, like horse hoofs.
Yeah.
You don't think of a zebra. You think of it's the most reasonable explanation.
I heard the word hoofbeats.
No, hoofbeats. Yeah,
sure. Okay, go on, carry on.
Yeah, if you hear the sound of hoofs beating on the floor, you think of horses making horse noises, not zebras making zebra noises.
Okay, sure,
right.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing a young player who's we're being told is just hasn't been ready, and needs to go on a loan, not a sale or whatever, that I could take that with a grain of salt. I still think that it doesn't look good in the sense that he never even got a chance here. Really, he played for the under 23s and he did decently, I think. But in terms of the actual statements he made, I think he could have been a little bit more tactful with them. Honestly, I'm kind of split because in one point he's a 19-year-old kid. I think say whatever you want. I don't think there was anything inherently bad about what he said. He was being honest. He was hurt. He thought he was going to get all this playing time and he didn't. But in the same token, I think that the fact that we didn't give him the chances also stops us from being able to say, well, look, it makes it harder to say it was for footballing reasons, right? Because we never really gave him the chance in the first team from a footballing perspective. So yeah, I'm kind of, like I said, I'm a little split on it. I think that there's nothing that has been done that make me think it's anything but football related. And if it's Arteta just thinking that he's not ready yet, I'm totally okay with that. With the statements, I'm totally okay with the statements. I think that it's a little, maybe he should have been a little bit more tactful with it, but at the same time, I don't fault him. He's a young player who's upset, and then when you add in him not being able to play in that final, that probably put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It was probably just like the icing on top of a crap cake, and that's what we're dealing with. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bad Arsenal taste in Saliba's mouth right now, and he just has to be professional about it. Yeah, you're rolling your eyes there, but you know what I'm talking about. We've all had that bad Arsenal taste in our mouths as Arsenal fans. I think
stop using these analogies, man.
Listen, we went down this road. We opened this door. We're going down this road. Listen, Drew, this is Drew's fault, man. We opened this door.
Tom's fault. Tom mentioned it. No.
No. This is all Drew's fault. Everything that's happening on this podcast now is 100% Drew's fault. So
not even the case, but fair enough.
It is. Look, ultimately, yeah, I think that it sucks because we all had real high hope.
Sorry. I can't. I'm sorry. Carry on. I'm really sorry.
Let's all right. I think Saliba will feel like he was really hard done by Arsenal right now, and just because he didn't get the chances, right? He didn't get the chances, and but at the same time, like I said, You know, I can't. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Yeah, look,
Okay.
I hope Saliba can play for us again. I think he's a really talented player. I hope that I hope he gets the chance, and I hope it all works out. And that's all I can really do as a fan. It's just hope it works out because I see that he's a talented player clearly, and we could always use a player like that. And it would be really a shame if we never even got to see him play after all of that. He got hoofed. Thank you. Exactly. That whole conversation really decompensated like real fast.
Oh gosh, that was brilliant.
An honest question before the user questions: do you guys genuinely think that? So, say his rhetoric kind of continues while he's at Nice. Say it's March, April. He does another interview. Something more negative connotations come out again. Do you think at that point the club should actually actively try to move on from him, or do you think they should try to maybe get him under heel? Which would you prefer?
To keep with the horse metaphors, I think we should.
The horses, man.
They should try to rein him in a little bit. I think they should.
And this whole thing is what you guys are starting to finally understand.
No, but I think it's a great question, and just I think that there needs to come a point in time where you have a player and you kind of say, look, you need to chill out a little bit. Like, yeah, we get it, you're upset, but there comes a point in time where it's just pugilistic and it's just trying to fight, and saying all these, it's literally just trying to fight, and maybe that's kind of been the way that we've seen it work out in the past with other players that we don't really have to talk about anymore, which is great, but maybe that's an aspect of it, but I don't think that we should be benefiting that kind of behavior. We shouldn't be rewarding that kind of behavior. It needs to be like, look, you could say whatever you want, obviously, but there are going to be consequences to it. We don't want to censor you, but if you're just going to keep bad mouthing the club that is trying to give you a chance for whatever reason we don't think you're ready yet, that's also a problem, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about a pony, to be honest.
You need it with the I was gonna make a crack in the whip or something. I don't know. What is that thing called? What is that thing called?
Yeah, that's a whip, mate. I don't know what.
No, there's a term for a term of art.
A term of art. Wow, the vocabulary to that. Pugilistic was a great. I mean,
is it just a horse whip? Is that what it's called?
A horse whip. I mean,
a riding crop. I knew it had a name. It's called a riding crop. So this young crop of players.
Oh God, we need to stop with these. Right, we're going to go through user questions. There are 2 rules. There's usually only 1 rule, which is that try to keep your answers as brief as possible. Second rule is now no horse puns, please. Throughout the rest of the show would be fantastic. Drew, Peter Renner says, would Saliba have gone into what? Would Saliba have joined us having many foreign players, or does it count due to his age? Basically saying about, do you understand what he's saying? I think he's saying, do you think would he have played if we didn't have so many foreign players taking up the quota? I think is what he's trying to ask.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think Arteta genuinely thought that he wasn't ready yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just again, the fan base sort of compared Fofana's trajectory to what we have with Saliba now. Just because you spent an X amount of pounds on a player who performed for another club in another league doesn't mean they're going to be ready to meet the manager's standards now. That's it. All that matters is Arteta's standards. That's kind of it. It doesn't matter what their potential is as a player, anything like that. So unfortunately, we had to take the word of the manager in this iteration. Does Arteta think he was ready? No. Okay. Could we have handled it better? Sure. But was he ready? If the manager says he's not, then the manager says he's not. That's it. And then you have to hope that they're being honest. And if they're not being honest, that's a whole other discussion. So, yeah.
Ansgar Wagner, Adam says, would you rather have us get Bertrand or Patrick Van Aanholt? I'll add on to that and say, do you think we should get a left back before tomorrow's deadline?
Before tomorrow's deadline, yes, it would be great if we could. Do I think it's going to happen? No. And I can see Cedric deputizing there for the rest of the season. Out of those 2, I'd probably, that's tough. I'd probably say Bertrand in terms of footballing ability overall, because I think I've seen Van Aanholt make very stupid mistakes. But in terms of being younger and the profile, the age profile, all that type of stuff.
A year younger, I think. It's like 30 and 31. Yeah, Van Aanholt's 30, so...
I'll probably go Bertrand. Bertrand.
Yeah, I think that's the best choice.
I-
Saeed, what's that?
And I think Bertrand's actually won a Champions League, so we got that pedigree in the squad as well.
The winning mentality. We thought we were getting that with Petr Cech. Look how that did us. Like, Saeed says, John, do you think the key thing of our good form is that Arteta is now getting the balance right?
I think he's getting the balance better. And I think the evidence has been, remember, when he first came to this club, he was talking about the defense. He's sorted out that defense. The defense is sorted. Our defense is sorted. It's formidable, our defense right now, which is amazing considering how bad it was previously and where we are right now. So I think that was the first aspect. And then it kind of moved up the spine. We said, okay, good. Our defense is better, but now we need to make sure that we are flowing more from attack, that we actually have a bigger picture that's actually functioning properly, and that we can implement that week in and week out consistently to get results on the pitch. And right now, we're at that last point where we're starting to implement something consistently that looks more balanced, not only on paper from a team perspective, but from a tactical perspective when you're actually seeing how we play in the results. There's a lot more. Remember, we needed more shots on goal. We needed more clear-cut chances. We needed more opportunities to get into positions where we can actually put a goal, where we're statistically more likely to score a goal. And that's been happening. So if you want to call that balance, I think that's probably the right word for it. I think that we were looking for that balance from the back all the way up to the front of the team. And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, where right now we're in a position where the team is understanding from a systematic perspective what Arteta is looking for in each area of the pitch. And it's to such an extent that players are now interchangeable. Look how easy. Saka's an amazing player. And I think that, part of him being able to slot into any position is in part because of his just natural talent that he has and understanding of the game. But I think it's also because the team as a whole understands what everyone else on the team is supposed to be doing more under Arteta's system. And that was always going to take time. And I think that it's still early to say whether that's a perfect system. I don't necessarily think it is. I think there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. I think there's a lot of personnel that needs to be addressed in the summer. But from where we were, it's clear that something has gotten better ever since that Chelsea match, really. And I think that might have been the wake-up call they needed prior to that run coming up to that Chelsea match was the kind of wake-up call they needed to kind of get everyone on board and figuring it out. Sometimes it just clicks and you don't know exactly why. So, yeah, could that be a balance issue? Yeah, I think that maybe the balance just kind of sorted itself out. And that's probably what happened.
Easy Isle Drew says, does this feel like the beginning of Pepe salvaging his Arsenal career or a positive blip on a flat line? I like how he's worded that.
I do, but it like instantaneously frustrated me. And it's not his fault. It's the fault of the fan base overall, because I feel like this is why I really try to like hammer down the fact that you have to take it match by match now. It can't be like he's turning his whole career around. There's literally no indication that his career is going to turn around. There's also no indication that's just a positive flip on a flat line. I think the analogies are good, but you have to just take it at a match at a time now. You take it from one performance to the next, right? It's hard to work yourself back into really good form when you've had essentially 18 months of a lot of negativity surrounding your presence at the club for whatever reason it might be. I feel like he still has a lot to give. I feel like he has quality that we haven't really been exposed to just yet. We don't know if we're going to see it yet, right? So he's performed in the last two outings. We'll see how he does in the next one, and we take it from there. I think he has a lot to offer still, but it doesn't mean we're going to get to see it. So we'll see.
Christopher Fung says you don't like user questions. You think
I don't like Christopher Fung, so there you go. I'm just kidding.
Just a very funny question. Adam Jermaine Chambers says, if the players are able to remain fit, can we win the Europa League and possibly even reach the promised land?
You can't ask me questions like that because I will always say yes.
Oh,
Yes, I believe we can win the Europa League, and yes, I do believe we can still make top four. It's about consistency. If you were to ask me which one I'd prefer top four. I always prefer consistent performances and success in the league rather than a cup run, which is effectively what the Europa League would be. And I think that's a better indicator of where the squad is overall. But yeah, I do think if we were able to remain fit and the players were as good as they are, then yeah, I think we can win the Europa League and we could potentially finish in the top 4 as well.
I'm loving your positivity, mate. Fantastic stuff. Bulgarian Gunnar Drago, question for John, says, what breed of horses do you like?
I don't know anything about horses, guys. I really want to nip this in the bud really quick. I don't know anything about horses.
Here's one. Say Hanoverians. There you go.
Is that a horse?
Yeah,
Hanoverian is a breed. Is the next question.
That I think I do know. I don't think they can. No, I don't think
Okay.
They can end up in some. They can end up in some like Hollywood mogul's bed, in Los Angeles, though.
Tolu follows on.
Tell me someone got that reference, please.
Yeah, dude, Godfather, come on.
Jeez, come on. Adam's looking at me like, what the?
I think he looks at you like that anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm used to it.
Tolu kind of follows on with the question that we asked Adam there. Adam feels that we can obviously do both, but do you think there's a one we should kind of prioritize and look at more so and put more impetus into? John, this is for you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. What? I was looking at the chat. The chat's hilarious right now. The chat is absolutely hilarious.
Top 4 or Europa League? Which should Arsenal look to prioritize?
I think they need to be doing both right now. I don't think it should be one or the other. But if I said, look, it has to be one or the other, I'd say Europa League is an easier route to Champions League than finishing top 4 right now. The league is absolutely crazy right now. The league is out of control. I don't remember a time where it's been this volatile. It's like friggin' stock market right now, man. Everything's going nuts. It's like the Premier League. It really is, and it's just nonstop. Every week, it's like flipping left and right. So look, I think that when you're looking at what's more predictable, I think being able to track our progress through the Champions League to the Champions League through Europa League makes more sense than tracking our progress to the Champions League through the league progression, because it's so up in the air right now. It's so up in the air.
I tend to agree. I lean slightly towards the Europa League because I think it's an easy route with the amount of teams that can still get top 4 this season in the league, and I think it's a doable achievement. We will wait and see what happens. That brings the end of the show today. Honestly, it's been a strange hour. It's been very, very odd. I'm not sure why or what happened, but
it's Drew. It was Drew. It's all Drew.
We'll blame Drew. Drew's a good barometer for these sort of things. Go on, Drew. You've unmuted yourself. You clearly want to say something.
No, I'm not going to.
Now he chooses silence.
Hiding behind his black screen.
I see how it is, Drew. I see how it is.
Oh dear. Go on. You've unmuted yourself again. Come on. We know when you want to talk.
No, it's funny because usually over the last couple of years we've done these podcasts, and it's we always thought of it as cathartic because we've all been pulling hairs and frustrated, but it's nice to be able to actually still have that same cathartic process, but even still come at it from a positive angle, and we're also happy and merry about it regardless. So it was I was chuckling because it's just funny to always spend time with people you enjoy chatting to about something you love so much, and also having the strong vibe with the people who are here every week listening to the show and actually contributing. Even if they want to take the piss, they're still actually also contributing as well. It's a nice little family that you've got going on. So
yeah. And I mentioned the chat, and the chat is always just so hilarious. I got to shout out to the chat because half the time I just can't even focus on what here I didn't even focus on one of the questions because I was reading some of these comments. They're so good.
I feel sorry for Daniel Robert, who's had an absolute mare in the chat this evening. He said his chat got messed up so much. It's 10 minutes behind everyone else's. I don't know why.
An absolute mare. There's another horse reference.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think.
You did it on purpose.
That wasn't even on purpose.
I thought you did that on purpose. That was brilliant. And now it wasn't on purpose. So.
Oh, I'm gutted. I wasn't clever enough to even know that. That's so annoying. Oh, dearie me. Thank you so much, people, for listening this evening. It's been I was going to say an absolute whale of a time, and it was just a completely different animal.
Well, that's a horse of a different color there, Tom.
Oh, yes.
All right. I think we're done.
We are done. Yeah, we've killed it now.
we're beating a dead horse now.
Yes, we are.
We are. Oh, dear. Maybe Dan's got a Trojan virus. That could be what it is. Oh no, Chris has used that joke. I genuinely didn't see your joke, Chris.
Tom, you gotta get on top.
I'm so sorry, Chris. I feel like I've plagiarized you now. Drew, thank you very so much. I can't talk now. Thank you.
Wow, you forgot the John bug. You're not being able to articulate yourself anymore.
Oh,
Thank you
I
very
have an
much.
excuse. You don't.
That's true.
I don't understand what's going on. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, but thanks for having me. It's always good to spend time with John and Adam as well. So good to see you.
Drago says Drew sounds way too happy. I'm worried about him. This is.
What's wrong with you guys?
Oh dear, Adam. I apologise on the behalf of Drew and Mike. Oh my God, Drew and Mike.
What is going?
Oh, why have I said Mike?
Nobody knows.
Oh, Mike is never gonna let me live that down. That's unbelievable. Sorry, John. Thank you, Adam. Cheers.
No problem.
You can find Adam at TFO Show. Make sure you check out his stuff at the Fifth Official. You can find Drew at Logic Lera because he's finally decided to change his. I don't know why he's decided to change it to that, but he has. So give him a follow. And finally, thank you, Mike, for your time this evening. Cheers, John. Wow. That just clicked in my head as well.
No, it's always good. It's always good to be on here. I really appreciate it. And even when it goes off the rails, which is like Drew said, it's a lot of fun. It's cathartic when we lose, but then when we win, it's still good to be able to have fun, and when we draw, even I feel like it was. I even feel like it was a win because I think that point that we got was a very important point. So yeah.
Well, hopefully on Tuesday, Arsenal can get back on the saddle and get a win on.
Yes.
We will see you then. You can follow us at the Goon Talk TV. You can follow the guys with their apps on their screens. We're back again tomorrow, of course, to talk about something fun. I'm sure as the news is transfer deadline day, of course, so there's going to be plenty to talk about tomorrow. If Arsenal get any last minute business done, I want to try and get a few of the members on in the evening. So members, expert members, TGT ambassadors, if you want to come on the show tomorrow evening, make sure you put your interest in the members channel on the Discord server. I'll see you in there very shortly, I'm sure. There is a new prize available from our sponsors, Football Prizes, as well. It is a 71 signed shirt from 9 of the winners of the FA Cup on that shirt. So if you want to get access to winning that, is worldwide shipping. So anywhere in the world, if you want to try and win that piece of Arsenal retro memorabilia, please do tune in. I'll give you more details about that on Tuesday's Let's Talk Arsenal show. But other than that, it's been a pleasure to speak to you all. I can't think of another horse pun quick enough, so I'm not going to try. We will see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.